A DFS show with John Impemba and James Grande.
What is going on, FA Nation? John Impemba here with James Grande. Welcome into the Fantasy Alarm NBA DFS Playbook Preview Show. We're looking at the Monday 8-game main slate over on DraftKings. If you play over on FanDuel, I think you got a few more games. I think you get the 10 p.m. games added on over there for the FanDuel main slate. Right, we're getting ready to go live, and all of a sudden the Aaron Fox, Zach LaVine, San Antonio Spurs the trade goes down. We're still not fully recovered from the Luka Doncic, Anthony Davis trade that happened at midnight last night. I know that we're in trade season. The NBA trade deadline is the 6th, I think it is. So we're quickly approaching, but sham bomb after sham bomb to kick off the week here. Obviously Sacramento, San Antonio are on this slate. For the DraftKings main slate here, shockwaves going through the NBA right now.
Yeah, some are expected. Obviously, the Luka stuff was not. It's a weird trade, the Luka stuff. The De'Aaron Fox trade, obviously, if you followed the NBA the last week, it's been De'Aaron Fox preferred destination.
Mm-hmm.
Him and the Kings didn't agree to the extension in the offseason, and he basically said, if you don't trade me, I'm going to walk next year, at the end of next year. So he really forced this. This definitely expedites the Spurs ceiling. And I think the best part for the Spurs is they didn't want to add Stephon Castle to the trade, and they didn't. They just said, no, we don't want him. And then the Spurs said, or the Kings said, well, we don't really have leverage here. So sure, let's just get what we can get. But let's call the Bulls. And honestly, it's a good ad. The Kings are going to go into this with, a lot of wing presence. Malik Monk shifting to the full-time point guard, but they have Sabonis, so the offense just flows through him anyway. So it's definitely an interesting trade. Levine's shooting 50, 40, almost 90 this year. So the Kings get a high-octane offensive player who has a history with DeMar DeRozan, from their times with Chicago. So I'm sure DeRozan can speak as highly as anyone on that team. Like, hey, this fits perfectly. Another floor spacer, which is good for DeRozan, right? Someone who likes to operate downhill, and Levine will be there to receive any and all catch and shoot opportunities. But yeah, we're going to have to really hone in on some teams that are rumored for a lot of trades. Washington is a team on this slate that is rumored in every trade. Let's see. Milwaukee is obviously looking for upgrades. We just saw the Kings make a trade. So what are they going to have available? Atlanta has been rumored with all types of different sell and buyout. I don't know if Atlanta's selling. I don't know if they're buying. I don't know what they're doing, but
they're trying to trade Capella. We know that.
Yeah, they're trying to trade Capella, but they're also possibly looking to acquire Brandon Ingram. It's a very strange.
Maybe that's how they acquire. Maybe that's how they trade Capella, right?
Yeah. Yeah, Capella and some picks, and obviously something else, but you're not giving up Reece Shea, you're not giving up Jalen Johnson.
Right.
You don't know what Denver's going to do. Deadline. Utah has everyone on the market. Almost traded him to Sacramento. Sacramento said, "No, we'll just get Zach LaVine instead."
And Chicago's still probably on the. Listen, Chicago got Zach Collins. Maybe that's the Vuk plan for a moment, right? They're rebuilding, they're tanking a little bit. You move on from Vuk, and then you have Zach Collins be your center for the final 2 months of the year, or something like that.
Yeah, Zach Collins, Jalen Smith is your center room. I'm sure the Bulls are definitely make the play-in with that alignment. But yeah, it's definitely going to be a very interesting few days. And John, I think we can safely say nobody we're looking at basically other than Jokic and Giannis are safe. Because if Luka can be traded, anybody can be traded, right?
Giannis could be traded. There was rumors of Giannis wanting out of Milwaukee, right?
Okay, that's fair. I think to be fair to him, the brass has done everything in their power to give him more.
But Middleton was rumored to potentially be.
But that's true.
Right? So,
That's true. Well, Levine was like their primary. That was like the primary target, and now that's not available. So, okay, Jokic and SGA feel like the only safe players in the NBA.
I agree.
Yama, right? No one's trading Wemby. So those three players. Everyone else,
probably.
I mean, dude, if Luka can get traded for 1 first-round pick,
well, right?
One.
Fox went for 3 firsts and Levine. And I don't think Fox and Levine are that far off skill-wise.
Like, maybe Dallas is very high on Max Christie. And you know what? Max Christie, really solid basketball player. They could have gotten a few more firsts out of the Lakers. So, yeah, it's a crazy season. So we're going to have to adjust to that. But, yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, we're actively in hug watch here.
We are actively in hug watch for sure.
You know, cell phones aren't allowed on the benches, but there was an awful lot of mobile electronics going on in that Phoenix Portland game last night. Getting passed around.
They were just getting the phone was just being passed to them.
Passed around. The iPad tablets they're supposed to be used for drawing up plays. Got Shams' Twitter out there, so. And you and I were texting back and forth like, what did I just read? What is?
No, that was way too PG.
We're a PG show. If I showed you exactly what we were saying, we'd have to blur out 90% of the conversation there. But we're obviously now just actively in hug watch, like you said. Yes. We're approaching the trade deadline. Anybody could go. This feels like what could be one of the more active trade deadlines we've seen in some time. There are plenty of other big, like Jimmy Butler is still going to be traded, we assume, right? The Lakers are supposedly very much looking for a center now that they don't have Anthony Davis. Like there are move. Yusuf Nurkic is likely being moved from Phoenix. Like there are names, Beal potentially still on the block, like could be moved. So gotta just be on the lookout for those sort of situations and know that your DFS lineups may not be safe until the trade deadline passes. So, take that for what it is. Hopefully that won't be the case. But, yeah. So, 9 games here, 8 games on Monday. Grande's on your playbook. Good luck to you, sir, there. Jokic is 12-3. Giannis is 11-8. SGA is 11K. Wemby's 10-8. Cunningham is 10-3. Those are your 10K and above plays. In terms of back-to-backs, we have Detroit, Memphis, and is that it? Just Detroit, Milwaukee on back-to-backs here. So we'll see if that improves or changes anybody's rotation or not. Point guard gives you SGA at 11K and Cade at 10-3. Trae Young is $9,700. Edwards right now is at 95. Again, a lot of questionables, a lot of probables. Some guys already ruled out. We'll hit on all of those as we work our way down the position. SGA and Cade, though, obviously separating themselves here at the top of the point guard position. OKC home versus Milwaukee. Detroit home versus Atlanta. Which side are you favoring?
Well, if Jalen Williams is out, the answer is easy. Jalen Williams listed questionable. Not much SGA can do when Aaron Wiggins is scoring 41 actual points. And that's not a single person in the world even knew that because Luka Doncic was traded on the same night that he scored 41. He scored 41 actual, and not a single person knows that Aaron Wiggins scored 41.
I came in third in a fantasy spin contest, so the 2 teams above me just spun themselves into Aaron Wiggins probably on like the last spin, and
41. You're the only one that Wiggins knew Aaron Wiggins had 41.
Because I spun my lineup at noon. People who waited later probably got Aaron Wiggins. And,
right. Sure. I mean, SGA is very hard to ignore. Gets the Bucks on a back-to-back. He's been dominant, and J-Dub is questionable. So if J-Dub sits, all signs point to SGA. Cade obviously in a great spot. He is going to get the Great Barrier Thief. He has not had much of an issue with the Great Barrier Thief. Doesn't mean he will not this time.
But he doesn't have much of an issue with anybody this year.
He doesn't have. Yeah, he's just. He's just like a matchup nightmare. He's a 6'7" point guard. Like it's like so hard to. What do you do with that?
Remember when they used to talk about LeBron? Like when LeBron in Cade's 220, LeBron was like 260, right? But you can't deal with a guard with that kind of strength and ability,
Right.
to just get to the rim, and he
Yep.
doesn't even nearly get the contact he should. He should be taking more free throws, but 15 assists against Chicago on Sunday there.
Yeah. I mean, so like absolutely no issue the game before, oh, no assists. So how about 40 actual? So like there's a massive ceiling for Cade. I lean SGA, but obviously you save 700 going to Cade. So if you want to do that, do it. We got the ceiling out of Trey the other day. It was just that was I didn't get an All-Star bid for again game.
Yeah.
Because for all the non-efficiency stuff that he's had, I'm confused how he didn't make the All-Star game. 23 and 11 and a half is kind of ridiculous. I think the only two times that hasn't happened where a player hasn't made the All-Star game with those numbers are both Trae Young seasons.
Mm-hmm.
So 9,700 Trae on his revenge tour, still showing like they put up 127 to 115 points without Jalen Johnson. Like the train still runs through Trae. So
yeah, and Ricochet has been really good in those.
And he's been awesome. So I like Trae Young quite a bit as well.
Yep. We got an illness questionable tag here for Anthony Edwards against Sacramento, but he is coming off of 69 nice fantasy points against Utah in a game that they won by 25.
Well, he missed their last game.
Well, sorry, the last time he took the floor.
Yeah.
Right, because they played NAW. Dillingham had a good game in that one.
Yeah.
There. So last time he took the floor against Utah, rather 36 actual 69 fantasy points there, 35 minutes. Went for 59 fantasy points the game before that against Phoenix. So if he's good enough with the illness, obviously you get Sacramento here. No De'Aaron Fox, probably in a good spot here. I would imagine Levine wouldn't be available at this point, so you get Keon Ellis probably in the starting lineup for this game.
Yeah,
who's a pretty good defender. So you'd think Ant probably sees a lot of Keon there. Lillard, we'll see about Morant. Morant was out for the Sunday game. You have Brunson at 86, Halliburton's 82. We'll talk about Ahmed at small forward, even though there is no Van Vliet. So, do you talk about him at point guard then? Or how do you want to handle Ahmed Thompson here?
Yeah, I mean they're hurting Houston. We can talk about Ahmed here. I mean Dame, tournaments only. It's a brutal spot. Second leg of a back-to-back in OKC. That's not the most fun. Jalen Brunson obviously has an insane ceiling. He will be guarded by Ahmed Thompson here. So, depends on what your feelings are on the Knicks against a really brutalized Houston team. Ahmed Thompson obviously has a massive ceiling here. In a game that they lost outright to Brooklyn and lost a bunch of guys due to injury, he played 41 minutes, took 16 shots, but still almost triple-doubled. So, I definitely like Ahmed Thompson quite a bit. The Tyrese Halliburton spot is really, really good. Just always depends on what, aggressiveness level you're going to get out of Tyrese Halliburton.
Yeah.
Because when he's shooting a lot, he has a massive ceiling, especially when the rainbow threes are falling. I mean, he has a very high ceiling. So I like Halliburton here quite a bit too. So it's really Thompson and Halliburton for me in this tier. You could, throw a dart on Brunson and Lillard in tournaments too.
The hits keep coming for the New Orleans Pelicans. DeJounte Murray done for the season.
Yeah.
Obviously, still without Brandon Ingram. That puts CJ McCollum at $7,600. Now a bigger focal point of this team's offense. Not that he kind of wasn't already, but you have a Denver matchup that we haven't been afraid of. Denver's still not a great defensive team here. Jamal Murray on the other side of the matchup at $74. Malik Monk's $7,200 without having to deal with De'Aaron Fox in that lineup. Colin Sexton, $6,900. What are you thinking there?
Yeah, it's an interesting tier. McCollum's definitely subject to trade, so keep that in mind if you play him. But he was out there tweeting about it. He's like, Luka got traded. Well, no, I better pack my bags. Word for word.
Did you see the comments on that though?
No, I didn't.
People were dogging him. They're like, "Don't worry, no one's trading for you."
No. I see. People are often disrespectful of a guy who's like a 20-point career scorer. I don't understand that one, but that is classic Twitter, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, if McCollum's still on the team, for sure. Jamal Murray has looked pretty good outside of the Charlotte game. I mean, the games prior, back-to-back 30 balls, 40 plus fantasy points in 3 of 4. So, can definitely go there. You mentioned it, Malik Monk without De'Aaron Fox is very appealing. For what Minnesota has been, and that's a good defensive team, no Randall, possibly no Randall and DiVincenzo for sure. Possibly no Edwards. I believe Naz Reid. Have we got official status on Naz Reid either? I don't think Naz Reid is. I think he's questionable for this game.
Nas is questionable with the finger.
I mean, they could be down like a lot of pieces, and they outright lost to the Wizards the other night. Like, it's so, for whatever Minnesota is defensively or has been, that is not what they could look like tomorrow. So I like Malik Monk 7,200. Sexton is, there's always like the off chance he plays 30s and goes off offensively. And
I said, 34, 30, 31 the last couple of games here.
I wonder, dude, Utah's like really confusing because they're doing the starting thing again with Collier, and they're starting Collier with Keontae George coming off the bench, and Clarkson's, I don't know, like Utah is just so confusing to me.
Yeah.
Like they all are in play in tournaments, but I can't I can't trust any of them really.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, there's every single one of them is pretty much linked except for like marketing and a trade, right? So
yeah, because nobody even who would want to trade for a $200 million Lauri Markkanen.
Well, like Collins continues to, be rumored about. They tried to trade Kessler during the offseason, like Rocker Kessler during the offseason. Every year we assume Jordan Clarkson's on the move. So
every year.
Yeah, I got to assume at some point one of those guys are going to go down there. You have Jordan Poole at $6,700. Keontae George at $6,100. Chris Paul, I guess, 57. Last hurrah for him. Like, I assume he moves to the bench, right? Like,
do you think Chris Paul became a buyout candidate?
Maybe he goes.
What is his role? Chris Paul is good enough to still start
on their
right
bench.
Now.
I don't know.
No, I think he. I mean, maybe he
chases the title somewhere.
Yeah, trade him. Because obviously he's not starting anymore. Like,
no, he's not going. He won't really start anywhere. So
I think there's places.
You think there's a contending team that would start him?
Minnesota.
Well, if they move on from Mike Conley, I guess.
Mike Conley's already been coming off the bench, though. Like, prior to the DiVincenzo injury, they can bring Conley.
Right, the DiVincenzo, we don't even know when DiVincenzo's coming back, right?
So, like, if you need, let's see, who else? Orlando could use a point guard. They play Suggs at the 2.
Yeah, I guess so.
I heard Dallas could be in the market.
Dallas might be in the market for a point guard.
Dallas probably needs a little more shot creation.
I mean, they got Kyrie, I guess, to move him over, right? And you run that lineup. So I don't know. We'll see. He's obviously a veteran player, but we've seen the ups and downs on him there. Brogdon's back, Got $5,200. Malcolm
he
Brogdon.
played terribly last game, but he played. He
got on the floor
right before the deadline. Right now, I don't think
gotta show him.
Gotta show him. Yeah,
gotta show him he's okay.
Yep.
Is Portland on this? I bet we'll get some big Rob Williams minutes. We're Portland on the slate. No, probably on the 10 p.m. You mentioned Collier's 51. What else do you want to do here? Anybody else a point guard?
Dude, I kind of like Collier if he's going to play these minutes. Yeah. He's been super productive, 27 fantasy points or more in 4 or 5. The
hitting his shots, which is something he wasn't doing earlier in the year.
Was not making shots, and now we're getting the assist. We haven't not gotten the assist, but the assist paired with the shots. Other point guards, Jose Alvarado is going to start probably moving forward for this team. $4,800. He went nuclear the other night with DeJounte exiting the lineup early. 37 fantasy points, 26 and 3. Took 14 shots in 34 minutes. So Alvarado, you can play Kennard if there's no Ja. Mike Conley played 34 minutes. We'll probably do the same if there's no Anthony Edwards again. The Charlotte could possibly start KJ Simpson here. That would be a pretty. Yeah, Mičić is also questionable. That would be a pretty popular play. The minutes have been good, and he hasn't made shots, and the production's still been pretty good lately. And it's Washington, so 4,400 for Simpson. You could play Dillingham. The minutes kind of sucked, which is annoying because he's been so good.
Yeah.
But
15 assists the last 2 games and basically like no minutes. So
yeah, I know the minutes are just what's killing him. I don't know if there's anything else. I guess like what does Houston do? What do we get a trade?
Just another Butler update. Jimmy Butler unwilling to sign extension with the Golden State Warriors. Trade talks have since ended for now.
He is literally just forcing his way to Phoenix, and I hope he just stays past the deadline and just gets suspended the rest of the year. What does Houston do with their starting lineup?
Well, we've sort of seen this before, right?
Yeah, but it was when Jabari was healthy. Amin Thompson was just the plug, right? Is it just Tari Eason?
Tari Eason is what I would think, or they could go the Aaron Holiday route. They could go Cam Whitmore. They could go Uncle Jeff. Like
they played Reed Shepherd. They played Reed Shepherd the final 15 minutes of that last game.
Yep, could be
just looking at things. I don't know if that's like an actual option. I'm just again.
It seems like they're pretty good with using Amin Thompson sort of as their point guard
yeah.
And then they add a forward to the mix. Now Tari Eason hadn't been available the last time, right? And that's why Jeff Green got the start.
Starting, yeah. I mean, everything changes too if Şengün's once again unavailable.
Yeah,
there's that piece too.
Because we wanted Cam Whitmore to start, and then they started. You're like, nah, they're going to play Jeff Green, and then they did. But this feels like an obvious Tari Eason spot if that's what they end up deciding to do. Unless
Tari Eason is in the Peyton Pritchard hellhole where no matter who's in and out, Peyton Pritchard's just coming off the bench.
Yeah, it's true, which works for Peyton sometimes.
Right, right.
So that's kind of what I'm thinking probably happens, but we'll find out. Yep. We'll know what the starting lineup is. 7:30. We'll probably know it's 7:01. Hopefully not, but
yeah, probably.
All right, shooting guard. Again, a lot of these guys we've talked about. We have Desmond Bane at 79, super appealing. If there's no John Morant, borderline okay if there is John Morant, but at that point you just play Trey Murphy at 78.
Yeah, you do. Oh yeah, you do. We're so back.
We're all the way back. All the way back. He's there to take all the shots. DeJounte's out. Ingram's out. Is Zion good
he's
here?
I think he's off the injury report, right?
Yeah, off the injury report. But yeah, Murphy for life here. $7,800. Jalen Green, 73, was obviously really good without Fred VanVleet there. Dyson Daniels against Detroit. He's been bringing the heat lately, scoring the basketball pretty well. The defensive stats are always there. No Jalen Johnson. Someone's stepping up.
Yep.
Dyson Daniels is taking on some of that for them there. You have your Knicks if you want to go there. Devin Vassell, $6,000. Feels like in a good spot at the pricing that we always want to play him at. He hasn't necessarily come through all the time, but maybe now, maybe here. One last go around without De'Aaron Fox.
Yeah, I mean Wemby's questionable, so our opinions on the Spurs could be very. If Wemby plays, I'm a little indifferent. I like the price for Vassell. He's just kind of been fine. If you end up there, he's fine.
I was tilting for a long time in this game against Atlanta because I took the over 4.5 assists on Andrew Nembhard. And then he thankfully got there with 5. Points, though. 19 points and 15 actual the last 2 games for Andrew Nembhard. So he's going to be hitting the shots he takes while kind of filling up the stat sheet. Pretty good spot for him here against Utah.
Andrew Nembhard's been very good. He has been very, very good. It's another very, very good spot, too.
Yep, agreed. Anybody else down here in the 6? I guess Christian Brown, right? No Westbrook.
Yeah, no Westbrook. Christian Brown. He'll be like
38 minutes, and no one played him. I texted you. It's like, why did I play Christian Brown? But it was like me and like 13%. I was like, why did nobody plug a $4,700 Christian Brown against Charlotte?
Well, I played Aaron Wiggins, so.
Oh, there you go. Could have played them both.
Couldn't know if you played them both, you had a lot of fantasy points.
A lot of money, probably.
He's gonna be really popular, like really popular.
He should be $5,200 against the Pelicans here.
Yeah, he should be.
Should be. Castle's at 51. Malik Beasley was pretty decent again.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts in this range?
Yeah, those two names.
Where did Clarkson get to? Does Clarkson play minutes yet? No.
Low 20s. Yeah, just staying low 20s.
Fantasy points per minute, but not enough.
I would say OKC has a lot of questionables. Cason Wallace, Jalen Williams, and Caruso. So keep that in mind. Isaiah Joe obviously would be in play. Lou Dort would obviously be in play if all these guys sit for OKC, but they just have a lot of guys out. You mentioned Cam Whitmore could start $3,800. Keon Ellis could start $3,500. Strother played 24 minutes off the bench. Do we know Peyton Watson? He sat the Peyton Watson's already out.
Yeah, already out. Yeah.
Strother played 24 off the bench. He's like the only guy they'll trust off the bench.
Okay.
So yeah, that's it.
Small forward. Can have Ahmad Thompson at $8,300. You can get there if you want to. Josh Hart's 77. Laurie Marketing $7,000. Jaden McDaniels up to $6,400. Been a wild ride up price wise for McDaniels there. What are we thinking at top of small forward there?
Well, I mean, like to the McDaniels point, like if there's not going to be Ant, not going to be Naz Reid, I get it, right? It's not a comfortable price if like Edwards and Naz Reid play, but if they don't, we always have that interview from Ant. Like they have Kevin Durant, but we have Jaden McDaniels. Like this is your time, Jaden McDaniels, to prove like why Anthony Edwards said that. And he did last game. I know they lost, but 23 and 12 with 4 assists and 4 steals. It's not exactly his fault in 40 minutes. So if those guys are out, sure. If Ant plays, I'm a little less likely to get to a $6,400 Jaden McDaniels because you have Ahmed Thompson, as we talked about. You have Trey Murphy. You have the Energizer Bunny, Josh Hart coming off. I don't know if you saw the Josh Hart game against the Lakers, but my freaking word, this man does it all. When he does he just does it all. Like he's just like, all right, I'm going to do everything tonight. And there's nothing that anyone can do to stop me.
Yeah.
He just breaks slates. 2 in the last 4, he's gone for 60 plus.
It's crazy, right?
So, yeah.
And we talked about all the time. So it makes him such a great tournament play. And earlier when you were talking about him, like he was in like the 6Ks, or like, man, this guy, now is, the price tag's going up. It makes him harder to just kind of auto plug. Yep. You got to build your lineup. And if he hits, great. If he doesn't, then you've spent $7,700 on a guy that, gave you less than what you needed there. So,
yep. That's a great way to describe it.
It's not an easy plug anymore. So
no, he's not. Look, DeMar DeRozan's been, after a really good stretch, he's been really bad. It is very interesting at 6,300.
Yeah, and no Fox. Right? Like I said, no Fox.
With no Fox, and this is, and we're talking without Levine likely being, because Levine was going to play Tuesday, John.
Yeah.
But now he has to play Monday because he's no longer on the Bulls.
We'll see, right?
That was the report that came out on from a Bulls beat writer. So yeah.
We'll see if OG plays or not. Could be leaning more towards to the some of the value maybe at that position. We talk if they go
Precious or Deuce.
Yeah, something like that. But again, also helps maybe like Bridges or Hart if OG doesn't end up playing. Again, Bridges coming through 7 of 14 shooting's fine. It's just he goes through these spells where he doesn't give you any secondary stats. So maybe we'll see what happens there.
For the record, OG, when he left the other day, Precious was the first person off the bench. He played 30 minutes. He had 41 DraftKings points.
He's good. Useful information there.
Useful information. Yep.
Let's see. Value in this range, 58 is Hunter. I mean, I guess if there's no Jalen Williams, you run back to Aaron Wiggins here, 5,300.
Probably. I mean, dude, there's also possibly no Case and Wallace and possibly no Caruso. So like they're down potentially 3 wings.
I
You
took
would probably
freaking shots.
Yeah, I mean, you would probably consider it. He also had 14 rebounds. He had 41. He had 14 rebounds too. Like you would have to consider it if they're shorthanded, I think.
Agreed.
And obviously, to be straightforward with you, Lou Dort would be like the better play because you already know he's going to be lower owned than Aaron Wiggins with better eligibility.
He's going to cheat and he's cheaper.
Yeah, and better eligibility. Shooting guard, small forward. Wiggins as the small forward, power forward.
Ricochet. I highlighted to you his usage in that game against Cleveland. It was like 28%. What was his usage in the game against the Pacers here?
Let's pull it up.
It was 19%. Dominic Barlow had 31% usage rate in his 14 minutes that he played.
Yeah.
Also, no surprising the game that Trey had. Trey had a 38% usage rate. Dyson Daniels had 26%. So Ricochet was third among the most starters essentially because again Barlow only played 13 minutes. It's just that when you have a 40% usage rate player, it's hard for somebody else to have a huge usage rate. That said, Ricochet's point prop on that day was only 11.5, and I took the over on that. So if we get another low number for Ricochet, given his role and willingness to shoot here, would be more than happy to run it back at $4,600.
The second quarter minutes here are sending me. Why did he play 1 minute in the second quarter? I don't understand. But he has been very good.
Maybe was there a turnover involved, maybe or something like that? What happened here? He played 2 minutes. 2 minutes in the second.
He took one shot and got one offensive rebound, and it was a putback that got blocked, and that was his day. That was his.
Barlow also played for 1 minute and 40 minutes, and Keaton Wallace played for 2 minutes and 50. So they pieced up. Ricochet, Barlow, Wallace pieced up a rotation for
Trey,
and
then Trey closed. I guess. Yeah, and then Trey closed.
Because even Vic, look at Vic. I mean, Vic actually has had the second half run there, and then Ricochet got the entire fourth quarter, which is good. Because he closed with the starters, which is what you want to see there.
Yep.
Yes, very odd.
Just throwing it out there. 2 minutes? I mean, that's all we're getting this man?
29 minutes are still encouraging, but he did have to play all 12 of the fourth. But if they're going to... But again, at least it was with the starters, right?
Right. It's fair. Yes. I'm
not afraid until that 2 minute stint becomes more... What happened the game before? Did they do that to him in the game prior to that? Let's see. What did Atlanta do? Where's the Atlanta?
No, but it was still didn't close the first half. They closed with Hunter and Krejci, who also fouled out in 20 minutes.
Yeah. Then the fourth quarter he barely played the fourth. He got blowout run in the fourth because they were down by 20. He closed the fourth. Weird rotations. He had 30 actual in that game in 25 minutes. I'm gonna trust the number 1 overall pick continues to get playing time.
Yeah, I'm not trying to I'm also not trying to nitpick. I'm just saying what are we doing more so than nitpicking?
Josh Green sort of has to play. He's not really great though, but they lost a Kogi now too. So it is Washington. So I guess if there was a spot for him to hit 5 threes or something like that, it would be this one.
Yep.
Brandon Boston?
Yeah, Zion's back, so I assume his minutes are probably gonna maybe not. I assume Alvarado starts.
Yeah, they have Hawkins back, still, right?
And then and then Hawkins. So I would rather play Keldon, especially if there's no Wemby. Sure. They just traded Trey Jones.
Yeah.
Right? That's some
Zach
backup
Collins
minutes.
Gone, even though Collins wasn't playing.
Zach Collins, City Sissoko gone. City Sissoko playing all those minutes. Who else did they?
I thought Keldon would have been a trade block guy.
Yeah, so do I. I think that's still possible. They're still got 5 days to the trade deadline. You never know what's going to happen. But if there's no Wemby, I think Keldon is firmly in
Sure.
play.
I agree. Anybody else here at small forward? Is lineup dependent on some of these guys?
Yeah, Neesmith's still coming off the bench. I wonder if him and Matherin swap soon. The minutes the other day were crazy.
And he did nothing
it
with
was
them.
so random. I know. And people were out, like so many people were out, and he just played so many minutes. I don't think there's any
power forward. Giannis is 11-8. Obviously, he's will be on the second leg of a back-to-back here. I did get an update that he did something crazy. So what did he do? He dunked on somebody, I'm guessing. Yeah. Postered Aldama, right? Poor guy.
You're the post. Remember, you're the poster.
This is a legitimate poster. Yeah, this is a legitimate poster. This is a Shaq bully ball. Okay. He's just in the paint and just getting you going and just dunks on you, wraps his legs around you, sort of deal. Poster.
Yep. Got it.
Only Shaq was way more violent with it. Giannis used some finesse on this one. Shaq would just throw his shoulder into you and just push you out of the way.
Well, Giannis would probably go to jail if he tried the way that the NBA is like refereed these days. Like if he did what Shaq did, he's going. It might as well just.
That's fair. Bridges is 9K versus Washington. No reason not to go here. There's probably 50 plus coming in this spot.
Yeah, it's sticker shock. I don't know how many people will go there, but he's been
46, 49, 46, 45.
He's been great. Yeah, it hasn't been like ceiling at this price. But it's been good.
The easiest matchup he's probably had.
Yep.
So.
Yep. Easiest. For sure. Without a doubt. No, undoubtedly.
You got Zion. Did play 28 minutes against Dallas. Had 50 fantasy points. Do we get 30? Does he get to 30 fantasy points? What do we think? 30 minutes.
I think we're getting there. Unless we're going up by one.
Sure,
then we're at 29.
He's obviously been ridiculously good. He's doing everything. The 7 assists.
Yeah.
Time against Dallas is good. Yeah. The points have been great. He's just, again, hasn't played 30 minutes yet. He's gone 57, 48, 47, 50. So when that day comes, the fantasy points will flow.
You want to be early here too.
Yeah, well, you're not really getting a discount per se on pricing, but you are, right? Like you're $1,000 maybe too cheap on Zion right now. So,
well, if they came out and said tomorrow Zion 32 to 34 minutes, right? What would be a fair pricing?
Yeah, you probably put him at 95.
Do it yourself. He's like easily in the 9s, right? Like it's just given. They also lost DeJounte. Like, it's not getting any better for them.
So you got that there. Triple J left briefly, came back. He's $8,300. We'll see what happens in that spot against San Antonio. Whether Morant is in, if Wemby is out. Like, there's a whole bunch of different circumstances there for Triple J. Talk Jalen Williams. We'll see if he's in or out. Would certainly be willing to play him if he's in. Siakam was really good again. This is probably a good Siakam spot at $7,600.
He's been really good, huh? Like Pascal Siakam.
We go through these runs, right? And then we're like, man, he's too cheap. Or he's too cheap. And then we get like a week of 33 fantasy points.
And the minutes are like 29.
Dude, even now the minutes are 31, 30. I get some of these are blowouts, I guess. Yeah. But like, yeah, I agree. We where's the 35-minute Siakam? But we're getting elite level production right now. So if you want to take a bite in this matchup against Utah, you certainly can. I guess ownership will dictate too. Whenever there's like a chalk Siakam day, he kind of just goes off.
Yep. Usually he is a very successful chalk play. He really is. He really is.
John Collins, 33 minutes. If he's going to play 30 minutes, like I have some interest here.
Yeah, he also might get traded mid-game. He is one of the prime candidates to be traded mid-game.
Very live. I'll say that the game's in Utah, so they have till 9 o'clock to trade him for us. You have plenty of time
That's true.
to make a move if you want to move on from John Collins. Kuzma's 62. Naz Reid, if he's in or not, at 6K. No, Randall still got MPJ. Toby's been pretty steady, $5,800 for him.
Yeah, I think most of those guys you just mentioned I'd have interest in. Like Kuzma in tournaments, I think is very interesting. If Naz Reid plays, he'll start. They've already said Julius Randle is going to miss an extensive period of time. I think Naz Reid would be really interesting. MPJ at 59. You know how we were kind of like complaining about the MPJ minutes? Well, they can't bench him because they're now down Westbrook and Peyton Watson. So there's not, unless Julian Strawther comes out and hits every shot he takes, he's not getting benched. So Michael Porter 59.
No one's stealing rebounds away from him now
who's
anymore,
out.
right? Yeah, so.
And no one's stealing rebounds. So I like Porter, and I think Toby, as you mentioned, has been really good the last couple games.
Yep. You called out the Achua, 29 minutes, last game out there, 41 fantasy points, a 15-15 double-double. If there's no OG, I mean,
yeah, he'll start. I mean, that just like showed you that he'll start. And then McBride's your primary option off the bench. I do want to mention your boy Tyrese in 54. He also played the last 15 minutes of that game. And, he is potentially viable to start. And even if he doesn't, look at the minutes the last two games with injury news, right? Like it's mainly been Şengün. But if they're down Şengün, Jabari, and Fred VanVleet, I'd have a really hard time believing Tyrese doesn't approach 30 minutes again.
Anything else down here for you?
Yeah, Dillon Brooks, I think is fine. He's been in foul trouble the last couple games, but if you look at some of the numbers for Dillon Brooks, I would say specifically if we get Şengün out, he has looked really good with Şengün. 25% usage rate last game. Game prior for Dillon Brooks, 28%. So not really what his game is, but when they need him to be, I mean, 25+% usage in back-to-back games. So Brooks at 48, if there's no Şengün, you could play Keegan Murray in tournaments. We know that they're going to be shorthanded. We talked Ricochet. I wonder if Aaron Gordon's chalk again, because he's been super chalk in back-to-back slates, and he's been awful. But he's also like a 0.9 fantasy point, almost, 0.9 is like almost a 1 fantasy point per minute player. So, I'd be okay going back to the well. I think a lot of people are going to be scared off by it.
I've never been a huge Aaron Gordon guy anyway, so.
Well, you hate Aaron Gordon. You hate Aaron Gordon more than anyone else hates Aaron Gordon. Obi Toppin had a huge game the other day.
Another guy on the potential trade block.
Yep. I think that's probably it, unless we get some
news. Yeah, because we mentioned a lot of these plays already. All right, center then. Jokic is 12-3. Price is going up for you. You texted me, said he's going for 90. He fell short of that. He went for 83. In the matchup against Charlotte. Also, Charlotte keeping it within 3. I don't know. Like, you tell me how that game.
Yeah, second leg of a back.
That game somehow stayed competitive, but it did, and it allowed Jokic to have a monster game. They bumped him up $300 for you, and now he gets Yves Missi and the Pelicans to go up against. So, can play, no problems. Sabonis is 98.
Yep.
Towns had a really bad day the other day. He's 96. Mark Williams, though, back, gets the best matchup for centers, basically outside of Charlotte.
Seems fine.
Went for 50 in his return game. 32 minutes.
Good to know that this injury management was injury management, or like the left foot injury was them just being precautious, because clearly 32 minutes he's just
the coach there literally said that. He's like, he's not hurt, it's just managing him so we can keep him healthy.
Yeah, it's good, because like they need that. What is the purpose of like running Mark Williams into
absolutely
the ground?
Don't need to. He came back, he was healthy, they played him 32 minutes. He should just destroy this matchup.
Now, it's another really strong position, because like everyone you mentioned prior to him is elite. Like Jokic, obviously. Giannis, Wemby's Wemby. Wemby's going to give everyone on that team absolute fits, right? Like it's Zach Edey, who's not going to be able to compete with him on like the perimeter. and it's Brandon Clark who's too
Giannis
small.
had a rather tame first half. It
Um,
was 10 points, 8 rebounds, 5 assists, and a steal.
I would say the only thing like the difference between like Wemby and Giannis is Wemby's like so
True,
perimeter
yeah.
oriented.
Yeah, Brillo had 13
And, like,
actually. He had 3
what-
threes on them. So
Yeah, and like what is, like this is more like I'm assuming they're gonna just put Jaren Jackson
he
on
actually had a
Wemby.
really good half. 11
That
points,
would
9 rebounds, and 3
he
assists.
he did he did have a big first half. But I just think it's different with like it's just double big versus just Wemby and then like 4 small guys. So I think he's gonna have a much harder time in that matchup. So I love Wemby if he plays. Sabonis, I know Gobert's on the other side, but dude, no De'Aaron Fox. Like this has been it happened. This is the game that was in Boston where I was like, yo, what about Sabonis? There's no De'Aaron Fox. And you were like,
they were 14 and a
And
half
I was
point
like,
underdogs.
no, I'm not. I'm just saying like that is Sabonis when De'Aaron Fox is not on the floor. Like he is just orchestrating.
I mean, he has really good numbers
like,
in 3 games against them. Look at the last time they played: 52 fantasy points, 27 and 12 against Minnesota, 49 fantasy points, 23 and 12 in 40 minutes against them. In that first game of the season, 24, 8, 41 fantasy points. So he's had his 3 highest scoring games this year came against Minnesota.
I don't know what they can do. Like Gobert it's a weird matchup for Gobert because Sabonis is again another guy who is like bringing the ball up. Like what is Rudy Gobert going to do when someone's bringing a center bringing the ball up? Like that's just not a normal thing. So I think like everyone above Mark Williams is great, and I agree with Mark Williams being great too.
Cool.
I just another day
more
where
breaking
like
news.
shoot, man.
No,
Shams again.
Jack Flaherty back to the Tigers on a 2-year deal.
Right? Oh, that's a good one. Guy went and got a ring and said
2 for 35. 2 for
hey
35.
Guys.
Jack Flaherty.
Damn it,
Tigers
are
Tigers.
good.
Tigers could be a little. Detroit getting a little fun. A little fun for Detroit.
Damn it, they're good.
All right, so so back to basketball. We'll have go listen to the Caught Stealing podcast with Howard Bender and Colby Conway on their Jack Flaherty news. Sabonis is obviously great. Again, if there's no Şengün, Towns will have a pretty easy matchup here at $9,600. But again, he was dreadful against Lakers with Jackson. 35 minutes against Jackson Hayes.
Not good.
Guy barely did not show up.
Not good
in that game.
It was actually it was an interesting one because they were like doubling him, and LeBron was like in almost every double. It was
not good.
It was not fun.
Walker Kessler, $6,700 again, a guy that maybe gets traded, but gets the matchup against the Pacers. Oni again, $6,600. The price is up there. He's been good, but I think I'd rather do the center on the other side of that matchup. We're in like full blown Jalen Duren season.
Oh man. Yeah. I mean, he has been very good. It's something you and I had talked about the other day, and he's been able to stay out of foul trouble. They are not extending him. He plays 30 to 31 minutes a night, and he's been quite good. So I am going to go back to this for sure.
Miles Turner, again, another guy that you and I throw in tournaments every now and then. Had a really good game against Detroit. Atlanta is fine. Maybe against Utah because the ability to stretch the floor, it could cause some problems there. You'll have Valanciunas, though, starting. They gave him 30 minutes.
Yep. Well, they finally played a competitive.
So that's a good sign without Sarr, right? If he can stay out of foul trouble, that they're willing to extend to 30 minutes. Charlotte, this is a battle of 2 horrific teams against opposing centers. So it could be a really good Valanciunas stay here if he can stay on the floor against Mark Williams.
How popular is he?
Probably. I mean, he's always popular whenever he's
always
$6,000. So
I have no problem going back to.
He's burned enough people, but I don't think Charlotte's good enough to blow out Washington. So,
well, let's.
I don't know. I don't think they got the horses to do it.
John, we just watched. I'm not saying it is, but I'm also just saying we just watched Luka get
true.
traded. Anything is possible. Dude, Luka got traded and
Everything
everyone thought
was
it was a hack. Anything is possible.
Sham should have ended that tweet with like, "No, this isn't a hack," or "No, this is not fake news," or something.
The second tweet made it more
like,
of a
this
hack.
Is not. I was not hacked. It's like, yeah, that's what a hacker would say. You know, right? Like, yeah,
this is real.
Yeah.
This is not a drill. Like, it's like dissecting the way he was tweeting. Like, no, that's not the way Shams tweets.
Yeah.
It's like, what do you mean that's not the way he tweets? How do we like? I don't know. But anyways, I mean, yeah.
Value. What are we doing?
Value. What are we doing?
If there's no Wemby, I guess we play Bassey.
Yeah, you play Bassey for sure. You play Bassey. Steven Adams' minutes were really good the other day. Steven Adams also, John, has been really good.
I know.
And it's good to know that Steven Adams still has it in the bag, right? Like, he's still.
Is he getting traded?
I mean, maybe.
all of a sudden, a random ramp up for Steven Adams around the trade deadline.
Well, they've just been so shorthanded. Like Şengün being out, they're like extending Tari Eason a little bit, you know, like so I like it. If there's no Şengün, no Van Vliet,
yeah.
Look at the
25 minutes, dude. You tell me we're gonna get 25 minutes out of Steven Adams, I'm in.
Yeah, if we got 25. All right, how about this? Wemby's out, Şengün's out. Bassey or Adams? Would it just be Bassey because he's just cheaper?
Is that probably be Bassey because he's cheaper, plus more of an active offensive player.
He is very active offensively, like just on the glass, but still Adams is too.
Yeah, Adams is definitely more of like the enforcing, like bigger body in there, right? Like he's not as athletic.
Dude, I've heard all these podcasts with former players that have played with Steven Adams are all hilarious stories about Steven Adams.
His whole family's 7'5".
Didn't know that. It's about what his diet.
You don't know the story of his family? His whole family are giants.
No, but I'm definitely gonna do a research after this. That's hilarious.
Yeah, he's got he's got like a bunch of siblings that are all like Olympic New Zealand athletes, and they're all just monster people.
Yeah, I did not know this, but that's awesome.
All of his brothers, okay. According to this article, Steven Adams has 18 siblings.
What?
Yeah, and all of his brothers are at least 6'10".
Huh. Genetics are the craziest thing in the history of
his shortest sibling is one of his sisters who is 6'5".
Are they all like athletes? Is that possible?
I guess so.
I don't really know what to say. That's an insane family. First off, I'm going to say a prayer for Steven Adams'
also
mother.
The youngest of all of them.
Oh, I'm saying a prayer for Steven Adams' mother. I mean, his prayers out for.
Well, there was half siblings.
Okay.
Multiple half siblings.
Okay. Well, prayer for prayer for all the women involved who are giving birth to 18, 6, 5, or bigger babies.
Yeah, his dad must have been the Nick Cannon of New Zealand. So,
salute to the Nick Cannon of New Zealand. That was your best. That was honestly one of the more unexpected drops you ever gave me right there.
You're welcome.
That was awesome. Good for you, dude.
Thanks. Well, honestly, I sold that joke. Someone asked what the most popular baby name was for like last year, and the answer was, and the person said, I don't know, Nick Cannon Jr. And I laughed so hard.
That's a good one too. That's a really good one.
All right. Anyways, Luka Garza.
Yeah. I mean, if
everybody's out, I mean, if they're just missing Nas and everything, like he'll get some extra run here.
Let's just run through this because why not? Let's say Ant and Nas Reed are out.
Yeah.
Who's the fifth starter? Is it Jalen Clark? is it Luka Garza? I would assume it would be like Jalen Clark would be my guess.
I would probably guess that way.
Because then Jalen Clark would obviously be in play too. He's been pretty good for the last couple games. He's shooting guard, small forward, but just throwing it out there. Like if Nas and Edwards sat, and we did get like the Luka Garza start, then I think that would be in play.
If there's no Wemby and now there's no Zach Collins,
Mama's the backup.
You got Mama as the backup.
Well, so they've actually been doing, and this is kind of what's happened to Sohan. They've been using Sohan as their backup center.
Okay.
And that's where all the Sohan minutes have gone. He has been operating as backup center.
Well, good
because, well,
I'd like to. Mama got some second quarter run in that game the other day.
He did. No, he did. I'm just saying, like they're using Sohan as the backup center, and I don't know why, but that is what's happening, and that's gonna hurt Mamu, I think.
That's fair. They have a lot of front court depth, so
they do. Well, they didn't address any of that. All they traded was Trey Jones.
Yeah.
That's all they and Sissoko, who doesn't play.
Yeah, they have Champagny, they have Keldon Johnson, they have Sohan, they have Mamu, they have started Bassie. They don't have enough.
Started Barnes.
Like Collins got 9 minutes in that game, so it's not like he was even really that involved. He got first quarter run and then basically didn't play again until like 3 minutes in the third quarter. Teams and their rotations, man, you could write a book on it. All right. Let's what are we doing? We just broke down the slate. Where do we want to start?
Forgot who we were even playing. Christian Brown.
Christian Brown, yeah. Christian Brown's a good one. Probably one of the other men on that other side of that game, Trey Murphy or Zion.
Jose Alvarado,
that works.
4,800. Nice little value play there.
I'm kind of good with just a little game stack on this one. I still feel like Jokic is obviously a good play.
Listen, only reason I don't suggest him,
like I want to play. I feel like I want to play Mark Williams.
I agree. Only reason I didn't suggest Jokic is because my stance on Jokic.
You can always play him.
He's sub 13K, dude. He's just too cheap. We just saw it, right? He did it again. If he's going to get the run, he is too cheap.
I agree. We said, what do we want to do here? 7K a play, so we got some money.
We're doing Mark Williams and Valanciunas, huh?
We don't have to. I just
I'm good with it. I'm going with you. I mean, I don't hate like Siakam 76. I don't hate like MPJ 59 if we wanted to double up there,
I'm trying to see what our or do we have a value? Anybody
it would be like Jalen Clark if he's starting at 32. That would be the only
we did Cade and got off of Valanciunas.
Now we're playing like
$4,500. You liked Aaron Gordon. You were in on him more than I was, or Sohan, which I'm fine with going Sohan if you think the minutes will be there for him. If there was no Wemby. You are cool with playing Keldon just in general.
I think Keldon's Wemby also kind of help. I mean, Keldon could come in and score a bunch of points and stays on the floor, but I'm a little indifferent.
We get off of Cade. Ahmed Thompson we know is going to start.
Yes. I like that. Thompson.
Right. 5,500. It probably could put us back onto Valanciunas if we wanted to.
Yeah, just go to Joe Valanciunas. That puts us at like 5K or something.
Yeah, something like that.
52.
And for a forward or a guard, we can flip it around. 5,300 forward or a guard. Aaron Wiggins,
Stephon Castle, Collier,
Beasley, something like that.
You would play probably if depending on what's in for OKC, you'd play like either Dort or Wiggins there.
Yeah, that's fair. All right, let's go Castle for now. We'll move it around.
Okay.
$8,500. Zion or Ahmed?
I mean, Houston might be down so many players, bro. I'd say Ahmed, but I'm good with either. I'll say Ahmed Thompson.
He'll play 10 more minutes than Zion.
He's gonna play 40. What is the legit ceiling if Şengün sits Ahmed Thompson 44 minutes?
He played 41 the other day.
I know, and he sucked. So at least offensively. So It's legit like 44, 45 minutes. So I'd play Thompson.
Let's see, what do we have for? Do we have totals yet for tomorrow? Let's see.
Yeah. 235.5 Atlanta, Detroit.
239 Nuggets are 11.5 point favorite.
San Antonio, Memphis 240.5.
Yeah, I got it at 242 on ESPN.
Ooh. I'll do a little refresh, see if that bumped. Yeah, I see it's 240.5 on FanDuel. I see.
Okay.
So
that's a game that we have.
Do you want to hear something hilarious?
Yeah.
FanDuel has a game, with a spread for February 25th. Do you want to guess what game that is?
What game is it?
Dallas Lakers.
Oh,
they have a spread, a total, and
what is it?
It's a 227.5 Lakers 4-point favorites at home.
All right, we'll go fair and balanced here. Alvarado, Brown, Richache, Siakam, Williams, Castle, Thompson, and Valanciunas. Build on a fair and balanced build, which we'll probably end up adjusting as news comes through because we'll be back here live at 5 p.m. Eastern time to get you all ready. It is a loaded slate, a lot of spend ups, but like you said, there's a lot of good mid-tier options for us on the slate as well. Make sure you hit that like, that subscribe, that share button. We'll be back at 5 p.m. Eastern time. We'll catch you then.